Okay, appreciate everybody coming out on a Friday night. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna just get that to you to start. No, seriously, this is great. This is part of what we want to do with the protocol is build community, get the right people in the room, exchange information and ideas, and this is what it's all about. I appreciate everybody getting out here and making this night happen. So the title of this discussion is called The Edge, right? The idea was, what is your edge? I have a lot of high performers sitting next to me at the top of their individual, domains and whatnot. And it's not by accident that they're at that level. And so it takes an intentional focus, an intentional energy to stay at the top. When I got to the league, it was all focused on getting to the league. But once you got there, it was harder to stay there because they're always looking for somebody cheaper and younger to replace you. And so I had to, figure out how to stay in a league that was designed to get rid of you. And so it takes a lot, right? And so the people that I have sitting next to me are amazing examples of kind of what it takes to stay at the top for a long time and sustain it. And so I'm hoping that we can all take something away tangible after tonight, maybe hear some funny stories, and just get better. I think having a room like this, iron sharpens iron. I think it's going to be, it's very intentional about who you surround yourself with. They say you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And so that is a living testament to the types of rooms that we want to put together here. So I'll dive in. I'm just going to kind of spitball some questions. And I know you're not shy, Erin. I might save the best questions for you. You want to say something?
No.
Oh, okay.
Ask me whatever.
She's ready. She's like, ask me whatever. No, so I'll maybe kind of start with an intro. Everybody kind of just give a quick intro, 30 seconds, and then kind of we'll dive into it.
Do you want us to say how we found this place?
That'd be great.
Oh, okay.
You want to moderate?
No. All right. My name is Erin Oprea. I live right here in Germantown. So I've been training in Nashville. I'm retired now. I retired last year, but I've been training in the music industry for years upon years, and then I also did 9 years in the Marine Corps on top of that. And now I found this place through getting a tick bite last fall. So that was in August, September timeframe. December 29th, I was diagnosed with alpha-gal. I'm carnivore too, so it was bad news. I got alpha-gal, which if you don't know, you can't eat red meat anymore. I got alpha-gal, Lyme, and Bartonella. And so I went on this massive journey to heal. And in 7.5 weeks, I healed everything. And protocol was such a huge part of that journey. And right now I'm writing a book of how you can heal from this. And now what do we see on Instagram and social media nonstop? It's like ticks nonstop, partly because the Lyme vaccine's coming out. But I want to get the book out for people to understand that they can heal and recover as long as you set a good solid terrain of your body. So that's kind of my journey, how I found here. But yeah, that's my backstory. Here you go.
Good. Thank you.
That was awesome. My name is Kevin Byard. I play NFL football, safety for New England Patriots currently. I played 8 years with the Tennessee Titans, 2 years with the Chicago, and like I said, with New England now. I'm going on my 11th season. So I met Derrick. Obviously, we played together in Tennessee. What was your last year, 19? 18. So we played 3 years together in Tennessee, really good friends. And it's pretty crazy because, I feel like in the city of Nashville, especially if you're an athlete like myself and Trent and obviously Derrick as well, like you kind of got to bounce around to kind of get your recovery in, go here, this place, Green Hills there, whatever. And I remember you was kind of telling me, I think this was like a year or two ago, about the idea of bringing all this in-house. And the first time I came here a couple weeks ago when I told you, I said, man, it's pretty awesome that you actually accomplished this and kind of see everything come to fruition. It's pretty awesome. So that's just a little bit of background story about who I am as well. So
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Derrick.
Absolutely.
Adam Sansiveri. I'm the head of the private wealth business at Alliance Bernstein. We're a $1 trillion asset manager, moved our headquarters here to Tennessee. That's where we got the blessing to meet and become friends. Serial Ironman, so have always been an athlete. I was a national champion pole vaulter and decathlete in college. Built and sold 2 companies. all while training and doing Ironmans, and went to med school before I started my first company. So this has been an area of passion. I was a nutrition and biochemistry major, so I've been a geek in this space for a long time. And the only reason I feel like I've been able to do what I do is because of this type of stuff and having places that support it. And it's so great to see this in Nashville.
Adam, do you remember the first time that we saw each other?
Remind me.
You have a identical.
Oh yeah, I have a twin brother.
Identical twin. Like they sound the same, they look the same, and I knew Adam's brother. He was with the NFLPA, right?
Yeah, he was the head of health and safety at the NFLPA.
Right, and I was on the health and safety board when I was still playing with the union, and I was on stage talking on a panel. And tell me your brother's name again? Sean. And I knew Sean, and I seen Sean, and I seen two Seans, and I was like, I had like a glitch on stage. I was like, hey, and so that was the first time I seen Adam. But DNA is amazing. But no, thank you for being here, man.
That's funny. All right, I'm Trent Sherfield, current wide receiver with the Buffalo Bills. Graduated right here at Vanderbilt University, where I played my collegiate ball. My wife went to Lipscomb as well too, so not from here, but this is like home base for us. I met Derrick a couple years ago through Bible study. We knew each other mutually. We started hitting it off, and we started, talking about recovery modalities and all those type of different things. He brought this idea to me. I came to here when this place was literally like bare bones, and a lot like what Kevin was saying, it was pretty dope to come here and like see it all come together. And there's been a lot of other things that me and Derrick have been able to share and talk about, and all these other different things, man. But yeah, that's me, and looking forward to learning and connecting from you guys.
Trent, I want to stay with you for a second. You're going into year 9,
yeah,
right?
Year 9. Yep.
Give us a quick snapshot of your journey, and I have a follow-up question to ask you after that.
Yeah, so undrafted. My first 3 years were in Arizona. Then I spent a year in San Francisco, a year in Miami, a year in Buffalo, a year in Minnesota, and then after Minnesota, went to Denver, got let go by Denver, spent a little time on the practice squad in Arizona, and then I went to New England for the Super Bowl last year, and then I just signed back with the Buffalo Bills this year.
Okay, so can we just give Trent a round of applause for that? We're gonna also. Well, I also want to say thank you to Marcella, because Marcella is Trent's beautiful wife, and she holds it down. But I just feel like that's a huge testament to your level of commitment, right? Because like I said, the league is set up to get rid of you, and to be on multiple different teams, multiple different environments, cultures, and situations. Like, speak about how important being intentional about your recovery, your health, taking care of your body, and like what are like 1 or 2 things that you got to do, whether you're in Buffalo, Arizona, wherever. What are those 2 things or 3 things that you're like, I got to have this wherever I'm at?
Yeah, I'll say I think number one, I was truly blessed with coming into the league. So Larry Fitzgerald was like my mentor, like when I came into the league. So, and what I quickly realized when I was going to different teams, there were a lot of young receivers that didn't have that type of mentor slash like just big brother in the league. And so I had the opportunity to go and train with Larry for like my last 2 years. And I caught Larry on the back end of his career, where with his last 3 years. So his last 3 was his last 3 was my first 3 with Arizona. And I remember going to go train with him, and it was crazy because we were literally flying from different states. And at this time, he was doing a lot of networking, and we were staying at other people's houses and stuff like that, but we were still getting up in the morning to go and train and work out and all those different things. And it was a number of things that I learned during that time frame, and one of those was that obviously the work comes first, right? And number 2 is like, man, this dude was, I think, maybe year 18 at that time, and as a receiver, and in my mind, I'm just like, okay, this is the way that you're supposed to do it, and being able to set yourself up outside of football, and also be able to still take taking care of your body, all those different things. And I remember, I'll never forget it. I think we might have been in Lake Tahoe or something like that. He kind of just pulled me to the side, and he was like, "Hey, little bro, this is how you need to train for the rest of your career." And I've been training that same exact way, since then. And I think that is a big testament as to why I've been able to go to different teams, make the team, continue to get contract after contract, all those different things. But to answer your question, whatever team that I go to, I have to find a hyperbaric chamber spot. No question. Hard shell for sure. 2.0 ATA, and the 2.0 has to be at that 60 minute to 90 minute the whole entire time. You'll get these, chambers out here that'll be 1.3 for 30 minutes, and then it finally gets to 2.0. I need the 2.0 the whole entire time. So
y'all know what ATA is? Nobody know? Explain to him.
No, you can't.
You want me to explain
you
to him? Damn.
Yeah, you got it.
Can't be able. Oh, where's my sign at next to the hyperbaric chamber? No, it's essentially just speaking to the pressure, right? The ATA is atmospheres under pressure, and the higher the ATA, in most cases, the better. You don't want to get too extreme, but the 2.0 is a really good threshold where you get most of the benefits, and you can talk to that a little bit, Erin. But so hyperbaric chamber, and what's the second thing?
Yeah, so hyperbaric chamber, and then a massage therapist. Because moving around like that, you can't really find the best things. As being here, you got everything under one roof, right? Like, if I could have it my way, I would have a Spectra red light bed. I would have a Hocket. I would have the hyperbaric chamber. I would have the sauna, the cold plunge, all those different things. But when you're moving around and going different teams and stuff like that, it's essential. But for me, it's essential that I find a hyperbaric chamber spot for sure.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I was the same way. Trent actually asked me. He's like, "Hey man, because we had got a red light bed when we first moved in here, but it was the wrong color, but it already had our logo on it." And I remember telling Trent about that. And the first couple times he used the red light bed, he called me. He was like, "Hey man, I need one of those at the crib." He was like, "I need one at the house." And so I don't know if they still got it, man, but I gave you the CEO's number, so good luck with that. You talked about kind of like how like all these different machines and modalities, right? I had an experience when I came into the NFL. I was 21 and I had an ACL. I blew out my knee my fourth game of my rookie season, and that was the beginning of me realizing that sometimes everybody thinks that if you're in the NFL, you're getting the best of the best of the best, right? And he's chuckling because that's not the case always, right? Different teams place value on different things. They're all 32 individual teams and business owners. So some might allocate more money to the recovery. Some might allocate more money to the nutrition, whatever. And so it was a moment where I was like, I'm doing the same rehab program as you who just broke your ankle, and we're doing the same rehab protocol. Tell me, KB, kind of your year going into year 11.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I know it sounds
old.
crazy.
You came in. I remember your rookie year. You came in and you had a great rookie year from MTSU, and year 1 to year 11. Like, what's changed? Like, what's the mindset shift from 10 years in the league?
Well, I would definitely say a lot has changed. I think when you're young as a player, you don't really think as much about recovery and those type of things when you're young. I think when I first came in the league, even when I was at MTSU, I've never gotten like a massage before. I had never seen a chiropractor. You couldn't even pay me to get in the cold tub. It was just too cold. Like hot tub at the most, but I wasn't doing no cold tub, no nothing. And I mean, at that age, you're just thinking like, if it don't burn, it's not working, you're just grinding. You're always just trying to grind. And so I never forget, I think my rookie year, we had a veteran in our room, DB room, Jason McCourty, who's doing like, CBS Sports and all this stuff now. And I think he was in his 8th season. He was just coming off like groin surgery or something. So, when you're a young player, I remember getting ready for practice one day, and more often than not, when, as you're young, getting ready for practice, you're sitting at your phone. You just got out of meetings. You've been in meetings all day. So you go to your locker, you're checking your phone, you're just sitting around for a little bit. It's like, okay, practice starting in 30 minutes. I'm going to sit here for about 5-10 minutes, and I'm going to go out there and just, do a couple leg kicks, and go ready for practice, you know what I mean? And so I remember seeing Jason McCourty, just like we had just got out of the meetings, and he immediately dropped all his books and stuff down. He got on the floor, And I remember he was doing like some floor routines, rolling around, kind of warming his body up. I'm thinking like, this guy's like OG, like this old guy got to do this. I'm about to go out to the field. And so I guess that was like the first spark, at least in my mind, to say like, hey, this guy's obviously played a while. You know, he's made some money, he's taking care of his family, things like that. You know, that's what a vet does. And so I was always taught just as a young player in the league, like, you know, they always tell you, watch the vets, learn from the older guys, learn from guys that know what they're doing. And so I would just observe. I would observe guys like Jason McCourty, like yourself, Jarrell Casey, Brian Arakpo. These were the vets, the guys that were, in my eyes, like the highest paid guys on the team. These are the best players. And I just observed them, observed the things they did, what time they got in the facility in the morning. If we had to be there at 8, these guys were here at 6:30, 6:15. I'm like, what are these guys doing here so early? Like, why are they getting here so early? So then I just, at that time, I was just being a good follower, right? I'm not a leader yet. I'm being a good follower. I would just say that's the best thing that I've done, over the years was develop a routine. And I think the earlier I did it, I think has allowed me to extend my career a lot further. And there's obviously a lot more things I've added to that. But I would just say this, from year one to now, it's being very routine oriented. I know what I'm doing every month of the year, probably every week. I kind of have a routine. I have somebody that's actually in the crowd as a part of my routine, basically weekly. Kaylee's back there, who I work with probably twice a week, once a week. So yeah, I think just being very routine oriented just sets you up for success. And not only just in my field, but in any field, you have to have a routine. If you're just out here lollygagging, just waking up in the morning, what I'm doing today, I think you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. I appreciate that. Now, you were a leader from day one, bro. I seen it in you. I definitely seen it in you.
To be a good leader, you got to be a good follower
That's
first.
right.
So,
that's right. No, but I definitely would concur with everything you just said. Adam, former Ironman athlete. That's like typical of finance guys, right? Like that's the standard. So like, no, like seriously, I can't imagine the level of commitment and effort and discipline it takes to become an Ironman athlete at that level. But like, how did that experience create a differentiator for you in your career in finance? Like, I don't know if, are you able to say like how much AUM, like how much assets you're over?
Yeah, I mean, we're almost $1 trillion.
So you're over all trillion?
Yeah,
That's a lot of money, man. God, dog. T, not B, but T. So I mean, like the margin for error at that level is so slim, right? Like you can't make mistakes with things like that. And so, tell us a little bit about like your experience training as an Ironman athlete, how it helps you in your career in finance.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a business of specificity for sure, but I do think to your first question/joke, there are more Ironmans in finance probably than other places because of the A-type nature that it attracts. Still not very common, but I'd say more than most industries. I think there's a general theme here, though, and it's about discipline and structure. And, you could argue, I mean, look, when you're not playing football, you're not getting beat up every day. So there is a major difference. You are getting beat up in different ways, especially in really hard industries. I mean, when you're running multiple companies, when you're flying 300,000 miles a year, when you're taking care of kids, especially if you have young kids and you're not sleeping, like all these different things, you're getting beat up every day. The only way to perform like a pro athlete or an Ironman or your best version of yourself is to have that discipline. And so when you guys stop playing, you're going to be way ahead of a lot of people because you're going to take that into your regular lives. I think being an Ironman, being a former decathlete, taught me that from the day I graduated that needed to stay in my life. And I think that's helped me through business, how I lead, how I structure, how I run my personal life. All of that means equal success the same way it does on the field.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, into some practical things. I want to come to Erin. What would you say in the years that you've been training and working out and all these things and recovering, what's like one thing that like absolutely didn't work for you? Like you maybe had high hopes for it, like it was on IG, it was on social media, it was trending, and it was like, oh, this is the next thing, and then it just didn't work for you. Do you have an experience like that?
I'm not a trend follower, so I'm probably I
You set the trend.
Yeah, I'm not one that's like, oh, this looks like a cool workout, I'm going to do that. I stick with my style. And
okay.
I do it constantly evolve, but it's not like I'm looking for what's next. I'm structured, I'm routine, I'm consistent, and I'm very disciplined.
Right. So what would you say is the most craziest thing you've done for your recovery?
Oh, I sunshine my butthole every day. Wait, do you guys not do that? Do you know there's actually really good science in that? I really do. I lay out, and then I'm naked.
Wait, what's the science behind that?
Well, the skin.
I don't know what I heard. What
You heard what you heard.
You sunshine your butthole, and it's because the reason for that is you can absorb the vitamin D better because the skin is thinner there. Also going to give you energy.
What's the position?
So I lay on my back and I touch my feet. My husband watches it and he's like, "What the fuck?" But I just put my feet behind my head and I just lay there in the sun.
Wow. I mean,
Well,
like you.
I'm right here in Germantown. Not really.
Oh,
Where it's all
okay.
third floors and everyone can look right down. But I'm like, everyone's seen a butthole before. It's fine. That's kind of my opinion.
Okay, so it's more. So it's more effective at getting the vitamin D, right?
Yeah, it's all about vitamin D.
Moving right along. Okay. So I'm trying to think where to go next. All right. So thank you, Erin, for sharing that.
Your wife's gonna catch you doing it next.
Ain't no way. Ain't no. I mean, I get in the red light bed if I do that, but. Right. Yeah. I have to get some vitamin D supplements. I mean, okay. So no. I mean, there's a lot of things that like I've tried. Right. Like I've tried a lot of things along my journey. Like there's been things that I've spent thousands of dollars on that just didn't. No ROI. Nothing. It just didn't work. Like. I remember I was about to go to Germany to do a treatment. I was flying to LA, doing all these different things,
Is this
right?
for your knee that you're talking
Yeah,
about?
knee, shoulders. I had 9 surgeries, so it was always like I tore my knee my rookie year, so I was fighting an uphill battle, and I had 3 surgeries within 18 months of my career. So I was kind of fighting up because I didn't have the same body that I had in college. I had a different body when I was in my in year 2 compared to coming out of Georgia Tech. So I was kind of fighting uphill, and I was willing to kind of try almost anything, not that, almost anything. But like, what are some of the things, maybe KB, you take this, like along the way, you might have even been there. Like I used to have crazy stuff in the locker room, but I used to get clowned and like, I remember I had one thing I would put my hand in, it was supposed to increase your circulation. Like it was wild stuff, but I was just trying stuff. But like, what's something that maybe you've tried and you found success with? Maybe it was a little bit more unconventional.
Sure.
And then maybe it was something that you found that was like, this was like a waste of time.
That's an interesting question because I don't know if I've tried a bunch of things that didn't necessarily work. I just think over the years I've just added to stuff that I've been doing. Like you said beforehand, coming to college, like I never got massages. So, I think you start off very ground level, like everybody wants to get a massage twice a week. Then you kind of get to whether if it's a hyperbaric chamber, red lights. You try. I will say, I think for me, yoga didn't necessarily work for me. You know what I mean? Like, even though I do find the benefits of it, I just think that, and I think this kind of happens within the professional space where, you go to like a yoga studio and it's 100 degrees in there, you're trying to stretch, and it's like, I don't know, it just really wasn't for me. The positions I was trying to, like, obviously I got tight hips. I'm like, she's telling you get in this position. I'm like, I can't do that. I got to readjust. So that's one thing I never really did, yoga. But like I said, I think from cryotherapy, just a bunch of different stuff I've added over the years that I think has been very, very beneficial with IVs. A lot of different movement stuff that I think has been helpful for my career. But I don't think I've tried anything. Maybe going vegan.
Okay. When you go vegan?
I didn't. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I couldn't last. I probably tried a couple of meals, but
was you on the meal plan?
I did not. I remember around the time when all you guys were on the meal plan. Your wife's charity was bringing all the food for all the guys, and I was just like, I think that's not for me. I'm good. It looks okay, but it just wasn't for me.
I'll add into the question because there have been things. I think the sort of non-science ones. Meditation totally changed my life. When you're managing stress and really figuring out what that means. On the science side, probably the biggest breakthrough that I've experienced is, really working on your mitochondrial function.
Absolutely.
So things like methylene blue and MOTS-C and stuff like that. If you're tired at 3:00 in the afternoon, something's not right.
Right.
Like, unless you just didn't sleep the night before, but like if you're rested, you should have energy throughout the day. And it's often because of the seed oils in our food and the things that are causing your mitochondria to break down and your ATP production not to be what it should be. So that was a big one. And probably, this is controversy, we were talking about it before, this works for some people, but being low carb keto, I did it hardcore when I was doing some Ironman stuff. And for me, what ended up happening is my cortisol levels skyrocketed. And so my body was under such stress from doing too much of it that going back and eating very healthy food, but more like 50% ratio of carb and protein, equal ratio. And I was blowing, like, body fat was melting off my body. I was feeling healthier. My training was better. And that's a big one because a lot of people are like, oh, I can't eat carbs, I'm going to get fat. And so I actually think very differently about that topic. Yeah.
Do you find that you were maybe under eating?
Calories I don't think were the issue. I mean, I was getting so much calorie from fat on the keto side, and I just think everybody's different, right? As we all know, I think everyone's different. But for me, that was one that for sure didn't work. And I did it for like a year and a half.
Wow. I mean, I think that kind of speaks to having a self-awareness of what works for you. And that's the one thing that meditation actually changed it for me. It increased my self-awareness over, like, why am I doing this? Is this working for my particular body and my particular, way of doing life? And that was the thing that, like, even when I was playing, I did go vegan. And at the time, it was serving me because I felt like I had too much inflammation in my body. And so it cut down my C-reactive protein, my inflammation levels. I was recovering better. I was sleeping better. I was more lucid. And then, though, maybe like a year ago, I got my blood work, and my omega-3s were, like, in the basement, like super low levels, right? And so omega-3s are very important for cardiovascular health, cognitive health. They're saying if you have high omega-3s, you could, lower your rate of dementia and Alzheimer's, like, by a lot, right? And so that's becoming one of those diseases that more and more people are being affected by. And so for me, I said, I got to start introducing wild caught fish into my diet, right? So I think that, hey, somebody just gave me an amen on that one. So there was just one of those things where it's like, don't let the routine be your identity, right? Like, it's like like use it. Like I there's a quote. It's like strong opinions loosely held, right? Like I'm very much so adamant about this until I get new information, until I get something introduced to myself that is no longer serving me, and be able to drop that.
Well, and I always talk about, like, you're great as an investor, right? We talk about asset allocation. Your greatest asset in your life is your body, your health. It doesn't matter how successful you are, how wealthy you are, if you don't have that. And exactly what you just said is so spot on.
Yeah. I do want to open it up for some. I mean, he ready. 1 second. I got you. I'm coming to you first. Just kind of practically speaking, like, Trent, I ask you, and if anybody wants to chime in, like, what's like low-hanging fruit for somebody listening in the crowd that maybe wants to get back on their routine? Maybe they want to amplify the routine, but, like, what are the fundamentals, or what are some things that are just like low-hanging fruit that anybody can do, like low cost, low lift, but high ROI type of things?
Yeah, I'll say for me, I think like going into year 9, I heard DeMario Davis. I was talking to DeMario probably about a year ago.
He's what, year 15?
17?
Seven?
I think he might be
17?
16. It might be
15,
somewhere
17,
around the 15.
tomato.
Yeah, but anyway, I remember talking with him. I think maybe about a year ago or something like that during the off season. I'll never forget this. He said every off season is different, and for me, this off season, I really wanted to focus like those 1%, right? Like KB, as you know, all professionals, like, how can we get better, right? And for me, I really like sleep, like getting quality sleep, trying to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep every single day, drinking, enough fluids, water every single day. So I think that those two things right there, like, low cost, you know what I'm saying, is paramount, because you can get in the hyperbaric chamber, you can do the red light bed, you can do all those different things, but if you're only sleeping 5 hours a night, you're not going to reap the benefits of it. Right. And so yeah, I would say those are low-hanging fruits.
I'll just say my first answer was going to be, because not everyone has the blessing of being able to sleep 8 hours a night, is going to bed and getting up at the same time. Yeah. So that's a huge one. But I would say the biggest thing, and this is, I look at the group sitting up here, this is not a problem, but skeletal muscle mass is the biggest predictor of longevity. And so if you are not lifting weights and you're getting older, you have to start. It's the number one predictor of longevity.
Absolutely. I would say for me, something that I've added a lot more over the years is just fasting, honestly. And probably a lot more intermittent fasting. Like for me, I try to intermittent fast every day. Sometimes I'm not able to, but my hours are usually from 11 to 7. Once 7 hits, I stop eating. And then, there'll be times where, early in the off season, I might go on a 3-day water fast. I think for me, it's just something, it's like a reset for me. And then I've actually tried to add, like on Wednesday, do a whole 24-hour fast. And for me, because I just think that, it's very easy. I think most people in America, like, we all kind of overeat sometimes. And I think whether it could be for stress or whatever it may be. So I just think that resetting my body, because I've tried all the diets and stuff like that. And for me, it's like I can't stick to it consistently enough to say, like, hey, the keto, this, whatever. So for me, I just find myself when I fast and I do my intermittent fasting, I feel like my body responds to that a lot better than any other diet that I've tried. So, and I try not to be hard on myself. I try to give myself some grace where it's like, obviously I'm not eating burgers and pizza all the time when in between those hours, but, I will have a cheat meal, but I just find myself when I do my intermittent fasting, my body responds to that better. And I try to do that year round, honestly.
So I would say fixing your metabolic health. That means balancing your blood sugar, setting your circadian rhythm, reducing your stress. And it's not always easy. We all have stress in our life, but it's learning healthy ways to handle it. And that could just be simple as box breathing. Opening your lymphatic pathways in the morning is a 10-minute process, a series of movements. Of course, sleep, like he said. So having good sleep hygiene. So it starts in the morning. So it doesn't necessarily start right when you go to bed. You've got to set yourself up to have quality sleep. It's free. Setting your circadian rhythm in the morning with the morning sun, not eating too close to bedtime. So I think all those things combined, when you have a good solid terrain, that's when your body's able to actually heal. Like going into a hyperbaric chamber when your body is shit, it isn't really the most effective thing. So it's figuring out how do you heal the terrain to allow your body to have an environment to actually heal whatever you're trying to heal, whether it's an injury or it's a sickness or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'll say this and then I'll open it up for any questions. I think we're all talking about the fundamentals, and we get, people that come in, they're like, put me on a peptide. And I'm like, but what's your lifestyle like? Like, what are your habits? What are your life choices? You can't mask it with, a pill or a peptide or whatever the case, right? So you're kind of like doing yourself a disservice if you don't got your sleep right, your diet right, even having healthy relationships. That's another one, predictor of longevity is having healthy human-to-human relationships. Like, I can't even fathom looking at my time, my screen time on Sundays. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, I've been on Claude for like 4 hours every day. This is crazy. But like, I need to be more intentional about my human to human relationships. So with that, I did want to open it up. If there are any, I'm coming to you first.
First of all, this is amazing information. How much do you include your blood type into your process for developing your most healthy lifestyle? I happen to be A positive, and I know that there's some things that if I eat, my body says not good, and other things that I eat, my body says are very good. And the more that I adhere to those things, it seems that my body is healthy. I'm 69 years old.
You look good. You look good.
And so people ask me all the time, but I did kind of tap into the blood type and, as far as meats and et cetera, vegetables and processes. And I just wondered, do you all adhere to that at all?
So I'll just say there is not a lot of conclusive research on this space. I think what you're absolutely nailing, though, is the unique nature of every single person, and what you're identifying, maybe some of the things to what your blood type is, to what feels good and what doesn't, is more of a relationship of your environment that you've experienced. Often what we see is people with leaky gut have leaky gut, and some of those things that come up on their food sensitive tests, they're actually not sensitive to, but it's result of the leaky gut. There's all these different aspects to that. There is some compelling research that looks at why certain blood types are the way that they are, or function better, or need more of certain vitamins and minerals and stuff, but it's a hard question because the research is not conclusive. So it's really just an opinion, I think, at this point.
No, I have not got to that point. I'm under the belief, like, of everything in moderation, you know what I mean? I think it's pretty good. Like, too much of anything is a bad thing, you know what I mean? Like you said, if you're doing a bunch of recovery but you're not getting no sleep, then it doesn't really matter, you know what I mean? Like, so for me, I always try to give myself grace where, you know, I try to eat as healthy as possible, but I do give myself some grace in some ways. And so, yeah, I just feel like too much of anything is a bad thing, in my opinion, so.
I'm going to direct my question to Adam, right? One finance bro to the other somewhat, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think I may know the answer to this already, but I'm going to ask anyway. So I try to be very regimented, try to stay active. Sometimes I have really late nights, like let's say tax season, and I'm working really long hours. When that happens, I feel guilty if I wake up the following day and I'm missing my routine, or I can't work out. Now, the question is, and I think I know the answer, what should I prioritize at that moment? Should I go for the recovery? Should I go for the rest? Or I push through it? What should I do?
Number one answer in my book is rest. Number two answer is to do what's going to give you the motivation to be excited about your day. Sometimes I would prioritize that over rest. And for me, sometimes getting a run in, even if I'm exhausted, helps me feel better, even though it may not have been. And number three, I think there's so much good data out there. Yes, you got the Whoop, great. Whoop gang, early investor. And that is, there are days I wake up like, oh my God, I should not work out. And I look at my data, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should. And then there are days where I'm like, I'm going to go work out. And I look at my data, I'm like, nope, this is a rest day. And so I think that those three would be my answer.
Kevin, I just wanted to say one thing. I agree with you that everything in moderation, including moderation, is what I would say. Right? You need to take those breaks. My wife, Lisa, who is type A, works constantly. She's driven. When she can come here and relax and get her body right, I see a big difference. So she's motivating me to do this. But it's not a question, but maybe more of a comment. I totally agree with being very regimented, which I am. To me, I need a goal, right? If I just say I have a regimen and say, I'm doing this every day, I'm doing this every day, I'm doing this right, but like to what end? Yeah, I want to be healthier, I want to feel better, but I need to have like an end point to say. And it doesn't have to be, so far out. It could be intermittent. It's like, I want to do this in a certain period of time, or I want to do this or feel this way in a certain period of time. Because that kind of keeps me going and allows me to reset, and then I can set a new goal. Maybe that could be, I want to play in the league another year. Like you, I've built and sold 2 companies, so it's like, all right, I'm building one now. It's like, I want to get 24 months. I want to get to another exit, right? But if you have that end goal, then you can kind of back into the regimen and say, I have these goals, intermittent goals, which gives you the long-term answer.
I love that comment, but I think the more important goals are the short-term goals that you make, rather if it's daily, weekly, monthly, semi-quarterly, whatever it may be. I'm big on writing my goals down. Like every year I have new goals, but I remember, like, for example, like when I was in high school, honestly, I really just want to get out of my mom's house at that point. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to get a scholarship to move out, to kind of get out of the, humble beginnings and things like that. And then once I got to college, it was like my freshman year, okay, I just want to get on the field. I want to work as hard as I can to be a starter. Now I'm a starter. Okay, now let's go ball out. And then, the NFL was a dream, but it was still kind of cloudy. It was like a pipe dream still, you know what I mean? But like staying focused on what's right in front of me, and I think that's basically what I'm saying, like always being where your feet are. And I think having those goals, because at the end of the day, and I understand from most people, sometimes the motivation isn't always there sometimes, but I think when you're keeping that routine and that discipline, the motivation always finds its way back. But I think if you can stay disciplined in setting those goals and writing those goals down, and also having very good self-talk in my way, you know what I mean? Like Because like you said, you can be, no matter in the high performance job, whatever it may be, there can always be doubt and things like that. But as long as you're telling yourself what you can do and how you're going to do it, I think it always finds its way to happen. So for me, definitely setting those short-term goals, in my opinion, are way more important than the big goals. If you're like, you just keep your head down, just keep working, you know what I mean? Eventually you're going to look up and like, oh, shoot, I'm at the door of where I was trying to go, you know what I mean? So I think that's huge.
I think for me, what I've learned is like making it a lifestyle. Because for me, it's like, you know, especially for like NFL players, right? Or, you know, just in general, you'll get guys, you know, they take care of themselves throughout their time in the league. And then when they get done, they fat. They, you know what I'm saying? And they lose themselves, right? And so I think, you know, Adam right here and even the everyday professionals, like being next to you, you show me that it's not just about, you know, whatever sport you're playing. It's like, no, this is a lifestyle. Like, exactly right. You know what I'm saying? And so I just wanted to say that, like, for the goals, the people that may have a little trouble with getting to their goals and then they retract and go back. But it's like, no, like, let's make this a lifestyle as opposed to it being like, you know, and again, I'm a goal-oriented person, but just for those people that, you know, need to change it and make it into a lifestyle, so then that way they're not like, you know, teetering, bouncing back and forth. So
I work with Adam, and I think this is his third health and wellness panel this week. So the guy, he knows what he's talking about. Yes. My question for anybody up here is, biohacking and longevity seems so physical focused, all in the physical realm. But if you think about the trifecta, it's mind, body, and spirit. And I'd be curious for any of you up there that's willing to speak about it, what role does spirituality and that type of practice play into you performing at your best, being the best version of yourself?
So when I got sick, this is a perfect example. The doctors told me there was nothing I could do. Alpha-gal, there's nothing you can do. Lyme Bartonella, you got at least a year to heal. I said, oh, hell, no, there's no way. That's not even possible. And I think your mindset is everything. It's all your energy, your mindset, how you talk to yourself, what your body achieves, what your mind believes. We all heard that, but it's actually true. And so I think that coming in tune with your thoughts, whether it's through meditation or just how you talk to yourself. And you can't just say, yeah, I'm going to heal and then question it. You know what I mean? You have to actually believe what you're saying, and you got to have time to just be comfortable in your own skin. You know what I mean? Not always looking for the next thing and just kind of ride that wave sometime.
I would say it's foundational, right? There's been times in my life where I'm hitting on some cylinders, like physically, right, or mentally, but spiritually I'm a little lacking, and vice versa. But like when that's spiritual for me, like my walk with God every single day, if that's the foundation and the anchor to my day, to my life, everything else falls in line, right? And so, you know, that's the anchor, that's the foundation. And then for me, I would say looking back on my career, I was motivated more by fear, right? I was like more fearful of not making the play, not getting the stat, not getting the sack, not performing to my peers' levels, right? So it was almost like a scarcity mindset, and it limited my performance. And if I could have gone back, I would have shifted my mindset, and I would have been more free. I would have been more just kind of open to kind of like let things happen versus trying to have a control over the outcome. And so when somebody's talking about their health and their well-being and their journey, like there's things that could be blocking you from healing, from health, right? It could be actually physically, it could be scar tissue, it could be physical things, compensation patterns, it could be emotional, right? One of our practitioners here, Erica is one of our ART, she's an ART practitioner, and you can attest to this. Like, I was kind of like, okay, Erica, I mean, my wife was telling me about, she's like, you got to meet this girl. She told me things that only I knew about myself, and like that's whack. Like, I'm not subscribing to that. Like, and I laid on her table before she was even here, and she pulled out something from when I was 21 years. She's like, something's coming up that you're holding on to frustration from when you were 21 years old. I was like, oh my gosh, like that was probably one of the most like horrific's kind of extreme, adverse times of my life, tearing my ACL, going through an identity crisis as an athlete, not being able to go out and do what I thought that's who I was. And she pulled that out. It's like, you're still holding on to that. So if we're holding on to those things, we're blocking our healing, because it's energy, right? So if you're holding on to that energy, you're actually stifling yourself. So the spirit, the mind, the body, is all connected. That's one of the reasons why we put people in the theta chamber. Has everybody tried the theta chamber here? Anybody tried the theta chamber? Okay, that's right. You went in on your birthday last week. So like, the theta chamber is where like we start people on their journey sometimes, or with Erica, to kind of get their mind right. Because if your mind's not in the right frame of mind and you're not like in tune with certain things, you're going to be governed by unconscious things. And so that's a good question. I appreciate that.
I'm a Christ follower. I'm a Christian. And so spirituality is huge in my life. And it's kind of crazy that you kind of spoke about, because I think in professional football, a lot of it is driven by fear. You know what I mean? Derrick talked about it. I mean, the business of football is to replace us. They're always trying to get younger, faster, stronger, and cheaper. And our jobs is to make sure that doesn't happen. And I think a lot of times you can lose yourself within that career. And we can all lose ourselves within our jobs. And I think I try to find my identity within Christ, because, life is bigger than what we do. We're all bigger than what we do. We're human beings, actually. And so I just try to find my identity in that. And I think just over the course of my career, there's been ups and downs personally. And I think when you are going through those things, you need a playbook. You need something to go to. And for me, it's always been reading the Bible, getting the scripture. And it's been able to give me something different because like I said, in the NFL, it's like, what have you done for me lately? When you're balling, they love you, social media, everybody's on you. But when you're not balling and you're not doing this, or for like when you were saying, when a lot of guys' careers are over, and there aren't the noise and the crowds and everybody cheering you on, a lot of people go to a dark place. And that's probably why they do lose themselves and whatever it may be. So I just try to find my identity outside of what I do, and try to find my identity within my family and things like that. So I think the mind, body, spirit, at the end of the day, faith without works is dead. So I'm not necessarily saying I'm just putting my faith in the Lord and then I'm just going to eat whatever I want to do and do all that stuff and everything's going to be fine. But I think just having a great connection within, the mind, the body, and the spirit is highly important. It allows you to be able to go do those things freely and live life freely. And like I said, for me, when I go into a game, the first thing I do right before I hit the field, I pray. And the reason why I do that, because when you go into a football game, you don't know what's going to happen. You've been practicing all week. Your mind is like, you've been visualizing these plays and things like that. But essentially, you don't really control what's about to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. So it's like, I just let go and just like, whatever's going to happen, God protect me, and I'm going to go out here and just be free and play free. So that's kind of how I live my life, where it's like every day I try to get in scripture as much as I can. I still could do a better job. But controlling what I can control, which is, my effort and like say my routine, my consistency and those things. But at the same time, understanding that I am more than what I do, and I'm more than a football player. Like, obviously I've worked my butt off and accomplished a lot of things, but at the end of the day, that's nowhere near more important than my relationship with God, relationship with my family, and things like that. So that's why I try to find my identity in my spirituality. Yeah.